What's up, Squadron? Aviation has given me a ton of amazing experiences.
Good job there. Nice rock, high wing.
But more importantly, it's introduced me to a whole new family of friends.
Like, dude, you're killing it. You're having a great day.
So just never give up.
Airport, and then, oh, by the way, I got carb ice while I was flying through, so the engine started running rough. And I had to
Join us tonight as we're cleared direct for some hangar flying. I am Bryon Dembroski, and this is SuperAero Live.
That's a lot. I mean, a lot of cookies. What's up, Av Geeks? I'm jamming to LOVE tonight. What's up, Av Geeks? It's Wednesday, which should only mean one thing. It's time for another episode of SuperAero Live. I hope that everyone enjoyed last week's show with Greg from Vans Aircraft. I know I enjoyed having him on. I'm sorry I couldn't get you any more information on the RV-15 than it's coming. But it was still good for us to all collectively kind of grill him and see what else we could figure out. I want to say hi to a few folks in the chat tonight. James Hyatt's here, Gary Smith, Waukesha Pilot, Zach Sherman. Let's see, Dustin is here. Just Plain Silly. We're going to be talking about that guy probably a little bit tonight. How's it going, Brian? Marty's here. Let's see, Jeff Jensen, 782 Papa's here. What else? I missed. Oh, Neil is here. Neil Hill is here. Met Neil with our guest tonight, so it's really exciting. Neil and I were solving the world. We solved all the world's problems over beers at SOS Brothers at Osh 21. I think that Cluckey's here. The gang's all here, and I'm so glad to have all of you in the chat tonight. Make sure, by the way, folks, before we get started, hit the like button, share it out, subscribe, all that stuff. Over 60% of the people that watch the show are not subscribed, and that would go a long way, because when I try to book high-profile guests like tonight's, they say, well, I'd be happy to come on the show, but what are your numbers like? And I'm like, please, it's a good show, just check it out. I'm kidding. That did not happen.
Never said that.
Okay, I'll show. Mike Beatty's here. Anyway, all right. Check it out. Fly with Bruno's here.
Hello, Ryan. Thanks for having me on the show. I just watched their intro, and just seeing all of the people that have been on the show before just make me feel really honored to be here. So thanks for inviting me. I'm super, super glad to be talking to you tonight.
No, I'm glad to have you. And you did not say anything. You didn't drive a tough bargain.
I didn't.
I'll give the elevator story of how we met. I don't even know exactly. I can't remember the exact moment we met at Osh 21, but we were hanging out. Oh, I was sitting there checking the weather with Plane Lady and her husband Ty, because the storm was coming in, right? And you guys kind of waltzed over the hill. Or no, were you with them? I don't remember. You just appeared magically.
Yeah, actually, my side of the story is at the same time that you guys were sitting at that cafe, I don't remember the name, and you were checking the weather and all of that. I was at hangar, I want to say C or something. I was over at the Aviation booth, and I texted Brian from Just Plain Silly, who I know is watching us right now, and I said, listen, I would love to meet up with you. Where are you? And he goes, oh, I'm here at this cafe or whatever.
The Thunder Bay Grill or something like that.
Something like that. And he happened to be 20 steps from where I was. So I just walked there to say hi to him. And you guys are all hanging out at the table. And I was like, oh, my God, this is great. I get to meet everybody. And that's sort of how it happened.
You have a better memory than I do, because all I remember after that was going to a Vans Aircraft party with everybody. It was I guess for people who don't know, I didn't know this, all the folks, the Vans Aircraft community attracts so much attention from vendors, because there's such a large amount of airframes and builders, that literally, there are just vendors throwing parties for Vans Aircraft owners. So we walked into a party for I don't even know who was throwing it. They're like, oh, hey guys, what RVs do you like? And I'm like, oh, I'm totally building one. I'm here for the beer. And we hung out, and the rest is history. We ended up running into each other night after night at AirVenture, just AirVenture kept throwing us together. So we got to learn about that. And some people that were there that night, I just want to say hi. Pilot Annie's here tonight. She hung out with us a couple times. Plane Lady's here. She says, "Oi, Bruno."
Oh,
I'm sure
nice.
that's it.
Hello, everyone. Miss you guys.
So anyway, it was just cool. I think that us getting to know each other and Neil and your families, like that to me is part of the magic of Oshkosh, right? It's just like we have this mutual thing that we love. We found each other in that, and then you guys came to the super secret SuperAero party, which was really cool. So yeah, it was just awesome to meet you guys. But let's stop. Well, half the people watching probably were there for that. But we should talk about you. We should talk about all the stuff that you do. And I'm wondering if you could start with just like what's the aviation like origin story for you? How did you find aviation? Because we'll get to your content and the Grumman and all this fun stuff in a minute. But just like how did it start for you?
Yeah, so I love aviation since I was a 5-year-old, but it took me some 30 something years to actually go pursue that dream to become a pilot. I was born in Brazil, and back in São Paulo, where I'm from, I started working in advertising, and I followed that career, and it didn't really leave me time or money or the resources to actually go pursue the aviation dream. So despite being this thing that I never went after, I always, since I was a little kid, I educated myself in aviation. I read books, I watched movies, I films, and it was always something that I was doing, looking into or reading about when I had free time. And when I moved to the United States, my wife started taking English lessons, and she met Neil's wife in one of their classes, and they're having a coffee and talking one day, and my wife says, my husband loves aviation, and Anna, Neil's wife, says my husband is a pilot and they should meet, they should get together. So one day we all meet, and Neil takes me on a flight in his plane, and for a brief moment he let me take the controls, or at least just gave me the yoke. And I flew the plane for like 5 minutes, and that got me super hooked. And that was the moment that I thought, well, I love this since I was a small kid. Like, I think it's about time for me to start. And being here in the United States, it actually allowed me to have a better work-life balance in which I could pursue my aviation dream. So long story short, 2019, 2.5 years ago, I started taking flight lessons. And 5 months later, I had my private pilot's license. And then this whole new side of my life started. And today is the thing that I absolutely love the most.
So, wait, did you just say 5 months?
Yeah.
It only took you... That's amazing.
Yeah, actually, I remember somebody telling me at my flight school that I was one of the folks that took the just like the shortest time to actually go from the first lesson to, getting a private pilot's license. Now, I know that a lot of people, first, I don't know that's true, but I know that a lot of people that actually get into aviation, pursuing a career, find ways to go through that path much, much quicker. When you're going to like airline transport pilot, ATP, you are set up for success in a way that's very, very different from the way I did. And things happen faster, or you have more time to actually dedicate to aviation. I mean, I have a job. I work 9 to 5 Monday through Friday. So basically, I was only taking flight lessons on weekends, weather permitting. So and I live in New York. Like, we have like a winter that basically prevents you from flying like most of the time. So I actually just made it a mission. I was flying every weekend, twice a weekend, sometimes 3 times a weekend, like holidays, like people, thought about traveling on holidays and all of that. But I was really, really focused on flying. And, I just went after it and made it a priority. And then, 5 months later, I passed my check ride, and I was, proudly taking a picture of my temporary private pilot certificate, that piece of paper that, looks nothing but like poorly made, but that's what grants you the freedom to fly.
Just as a quick question, because people often ask this, what aircraft did you train in?
I trained on PA-28s, Piper Cherokees, Warrior. That was the main aircraft that my flight school had. They had 4. I would switch from one to another. And funny thing is that all of them were different. These planes had like different radios and different, like the avionics switch was always on a different place. And I would go from one craft to another, and my instructor would be like, why are you taking so long to turn on the avionics? I'm like, I can't find the damn switch. But yeah, I it was always somewhere different. But I trained on PA-28s, and after I got my license, I started renting from a different flight school at the same airport, and they had both PA-28s and Cessna 172. So I got endorsed for high wings and started flying them as well. So those are the 2 main aircraft models that I trained and just flew for an entire year.
So then, because we're going to talk about, you have a kind of a famous video about the Grumman, which we're going to go to in a second. But I wanted to ask then, so this is interesting, right? Like everyone knows jokes that I bring it up every show. I trained in J3s first, and then I went to Cherokees. And
awesome.
Something about the high wing really resonated with me, so then I went Cessnas, and now I'm still kind of like prefer high. I think everyone has their preference. I'm wondering if what your first flight or the first thing you train in. I'm trying to figure out if that helps like lends people to a certain propensity. Like, so you started in the Warrior, and now you've got a Grumman, another low wing. Like, do you think that had anything to do with it, or is that me just grasping for straws?
I think it did. Honestly, when I decided that I was going after my first plane, and I started looking at the models or of planes that I had trained on, the P-28s, the Cessna 172s. But when you're looking for a plane, or when you're looking into aircraft ownership, half of it is the plane that you're looking for, and the other half is opportunity. And when I was doing my research, the Grummans, even though I had never flown one, I knew about the planes, and I knew there was sort of like the same category and the same flying characteristics if compared to the planes that I was used to. So I thought, well, let me add it to the mix, and whatever plane I buy, I would obviously had spent time learning to fly, adapting to the differences or the uniqueness that it may or may not have. So the opportunity presented itself. I was looking at, PA-28s and even Cessna 172, but sometimes they were all the way across the country. And before I could even call the seller and inquire about their plane, there was somebody else that had already paid or beat me to it. And, so it kind of becomes a race. And I actually learned about this Grumman, who was right here in New York. I called the owner, and he was like the nicest guy in the world, and actually not only an airline pilot, but he was also a CFI and a super nice guy, super experienced. And when I went to meet him and went to see the plane, I absolutely fell in love from the very first time. Like, I flew it and everything. So that's how I got it. I wasn't looking specifically for a Grumman, but the opportunity presented itself. I found that it fit my needs at the time, my mission, which is the most important thing. And so that's how it happened. And now I couldn't be happier about the Grumman, not so much for its flying characteristics and the unique things about it, because the Grummans are fast, are reliable. They have the unique things like the canopy, which you can open in the summer, which is absolutely amazing. But it happens to be a plane that has a healthy engine, was really taken care of by the previous owners, and has this great history the logbooks don't have anything shady or anything like that. So all in all, I'm really happy that this particular plane ended up with me. And now I'm only trying to, maintain its legacy and take care of it, like just like the guys before me did.
And one of the things that popped up and I've got some footage here just from one of your videos, because you were talking about, I wanted to kind of show it off. Bryon, just plain so, he's saying that it's such a beautiful example too. Like, not only did you get all the like important mechanical stuff, it just in general, as far as aircraft goes, it's just a beautiful, clean example as well. I think he is very jealous of the way it looks.
Well, Bryon actually has a Grumman, and his Grumman actually looks fantastic. I didn't have the opportunity to see it live, but I've seen it in videos. And I think the Grummans, the way they were built, they are super clean. You don't see rivets all around the plane or the wings or anything like that. They were built to be clean and fast. And I actually heard somebody call them the underdog of general aviation. And I actually kind of believe that, because you don't see Grummans as often or as around the airports as you see Piper Cherokees, whatever model there is, or Cessnas or Bonanzas for that matter. But I found that the Grummans are super reliable. They're super, they were built in a way that was really special. It's a true American plane, built in America, designed in America. And I mean, it served me well so far. I'm pretty sure it will continue to serve me well for years and years to come. It's taken me everywhere I needed to go, safely, reliably, and I just try to take care of it as well as good as it takes care of me, or has taken care of me so far.
And you've flown like far in that thing. Like, you were at Sun and Fun, flown it to Oshkosh. Yes. Like, yeah. What's the furthest? Yeah. What's the furthest you've gone?
Well, those two trips actually happened to be the longest trips that I took. I believe Oshkosh beat Sun and Fun by a few miles, because. Okay. That's the longest I've taken. And I think that the moment I got the plane, I really wanted to make it a lifestyle, for me, for my wife, for my friends. And by lifestyle, I mean, I don't have the dream at this point to pursue a career in aviation. Honestly, I think that I don't want to say that it's too late for me, but whatever else I was doing, which is advertising, is what allowed me to get into aviation in the first place, move to the United States and all of that. So that's what I want to maintain. And, getting into aviation, I see it as sort of like the thing that I do on the side. But I really want to make it a lifestyle. And by lifestyle, I mean, like flying often and actually taking advantage of the fact that in a plane, it doesn't matter what plane, you can go far, you can travel places that you can get by car, or perhaps you can't, but it will take you 3 times as long. So I try to take the plane and go places that I haven't been before. And obviously Sun and Fun and Oshkosh are both great reasons to actually take your plane and go somewhere different. Those 2 trips happen to be the longest cross-country flights that I ever took. And with those flights comes a lot of experience, learnings, situations that you haven't been before. And I think that's to me, that's the most important thing. The more I've learned in aviation, that the more you fly, the more you learn. And the only way you can be good at it and to be a safe pilot and to be a good pilot is to actually fly often. So I really take advantage of like having my plane and the freedom that comes with having your own aircraft to not only do it often, but actually go places, and as much as possible share their experience with somebody else.
Yeah, I think that's the true magic of it, and I think people were talking in the chat here a little bit about different Grummans and stuff like that, but the one that was funny is Bryon says, well, he flies a Tiger and Tigers are fast, because people are razzing because Bryon's always talking about his slow, tiny little Grumman. I think the thing though I want to point out is something that resonated with me. One, like we haven't really talked about the content creation side yet, but like look at the beautiful places. I mean, just in this video you sent me is just you like relocating the aircraft. It's not like a big epic adventure necessarily, and look at the beautiful places you're going. Look at like I don't know. And then the other thing I was just gonna comment on was like, you know, even in a slow plane, like you're still usually twice as fast as a car. Like, I don't know. Minimum, right? So that counts for something.
Yeah, exactly. I always tell people that on a plane, and the Grummans are that much different from, 172s or Cherokees. You're flying at least 140 miles an hour. And
that's
not only
fast,
right? That's at least twice as driving a car. And there's also the fact that you're flying on a straight line versus being, on a road where you have to, go around cities and mountains and stuff like that. So, all in all, a plane is much faster than a car. Are there faster planes? And people would say, yeah, like, are there true cross-country machines like the Moonies or the Bonanzas or the Cirruses, But honestly, for me, I mean, I'm a low-time pilot. I have just over 320 hours total time. I'm still a baby in aviation, if you will. And I know I have so much to learn. I have so much to experience, so much to go through. Bad things, good things. That's all part of like learning how to fly. And every pilot has been through those situations. I have not. And I think that, the plane that I have now is a plane that will allow me to go through all of that. And that's a necessary, very important part of being a pilot, getting experience and being a safer pilot in the future, which is my main goal. So it's taking me places, like I said. Is it the perfect plane? Is it the fastest plane? Is it the plane with the most useful load and whatever? Of course, I dream about having, the planes that, YouTubers have, or, those fantastic planes with all glass panels and that, they take them everywhere. But, on the other hand, and I know we'll get to content later, but I really want to show and prove that the perfect plane is whatever plane you have. I mean, you're flying, you're going places, you're learning, you're living experiences and sharing these experiences with other people. And nothing beats that, nothing. So it's not about the plane you have or the plane you fly. It's the fact that, one, you're flying, you're doing things, you're going places, you're living things that are unique and that you get to, most of the time share with people that, care for you and you care for.
Just gonna watch this landing here. Hopefully it was a good one.
I only post the good ones. Like my botched landings are not. Yeah.
So one of the things that so I asked my Patreon supporters if they had a question for you, and the one that came up was, I joked about this at the beginning, and actually you conveniently did not send me this video to share, but you have a very incredible. I can't get my phone to unlock to read the question. There we go. This is one of your most viewed videos. You've been interviewed about this a number of times. James from the Squadron was asking, how's life after being locked in the plane? What's life been afterwards? So maybe we need to tell the story real briefly if people haven't seen the video. I checked today. It's got over like 330,000 views. So I'm imagining everyone watching has seen it. But if not, maybe we need to talk about that for just a second.
Of course. I think the short version of it is that once after a flight earlier this year, I landed and I went to get out of the plane and I couldn't because the canopy was locked and I I simply couldn't open it from the inside. It's like being in a room where somebody locked the door from the outside and you can't really open. It was a very weird situation to be in. And what I did, because I had many options, but the one I went for was to actually turn on my radio and call, or actually go to the airport frequency, was an on-tower airport, and ask if there was somebody around. Because I actually saw a guy park his plane right before I arrived. So I thought, maybe that guy's still around. He can come help me. And to my surprise, there was a guy flying nearby, and he said, "Listen, I'm practicing approaches here or whatever. Do you need something?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm not going to bother a guy that's flying. I mean, you never land here." And I said, "Listen, don't worry. I have an issue here on the ground, but I'll sort it out." And the guy kept insisting in helping. So I told him what's happening. And mind you, this is on CTAF. I'm broadcasting this on the radio on an actual frequency. And I said, "Listen, I'm locked inside my plane. I don't know what happens, and I can't get out." And this was like a Sunday night. It was winter. It was cold, and I was parked right by the fuel pump, and I couldn't get out of my plane. So I just the guy actually landed, came to me, and he helped me unlock the plane from the outside so he could free me. And it was this very weird situation. And what I did, because I had cameras rolling, I was recording the flight and everything. I said, "Well, listen, I'll just post this story," because I thought that that pilot's attitude and the way that he helped me were worth of a story. So I was like, I'm gonna post this. This just goes to show how the aviation community is always there, or mostly always there, for each other, and it's worth a video. And fast forward to 2 days later, and the video went viral. And not everybody knows this, but somebody sent me the link the other day. Somebody in Japan actually reenacted the story.
Wait, what?
On Flight Simulator. Yeah, on Flight Simulator, using the actual ATC recordings from live ATC. And it's the story, but we know outside shots and everything, all done in Flight Simulator and narrated in Japanese, which I can't understand. And he had the last time I checked, he had 60,000 views, or north of 16,000 views or something like that. So in Japan, somebody actually recreated the story in Flight Simulator because somebody thought that it was I don't know, it was just worth telling. Now, to answer the question, how's been life after that? I think the short version is everybody knows as the guy who got stuck in his own plane. People actually recognize me. People came to me in Son of Fun and Oshkosh, "Oh, aren't you the guy who got stuck in his plane?"
Man.
So that's kind of my legacy. But and some people actually came to me and asked, how did you have the guts to share that story? Did you have to swallow your pride and do that? I'm like, no. I actually wanted to share the story because I thought that what the other pilot had done was absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
And I think that it's worth knowing that people in aviation can help you in a situation like that, or any situation for that matter. But a lot of people made fun of me. But I just decided to double down on it and just assume the position and say, I got locked in my plane. I learned the lesson from it. And what is aviation? If not just a bunch of bad situations that you put yourself in, or you go through, that turn into experience, learning that you pass on, or you learn from, and you just become a safer pilot after that. So no regrets, but I just I never thought that the story would kind of blow up like it did.
I think, well, a couple people in the chat are saying that they're admitting that they did that to you at Oshkosh. But no one's really apologizing, but they're just saying, I did that, me too. And Gary Smith says, you've made it when someone from the other side of the planet reenacts your story.
I guess.
there's something about, I think maybe I'm just imagining this. I feel like there's something about Japanese culture, like they do that a lot, like in their news media and stuff. Like they do like these 3D animation, like reenactments of things. I don't know if it's just something different. If you're from Japan and you're watching, hit us in the chat. Is that like very common? I feel like I've seen a lot of that. Dustin says, sorry, not sorry about asking you about that at the party. So
people shouldn't be.
So I mean, the thing that occurred to me when I watched it was that like community aspect. I think that has been one of the most remarkable parts of aviation to me. Mm-hmm. Like as I experience it more and more, is just watching all of us have each other's backs. That's pretty cool. That's a pretty cool thing.
It is. And I see, I just saw the other day, well, not the other day, but a couple of months ago, apparently a guy had to make an emergency landing somewhere in Georgia. It was I don't remember if it was the student pilot or a private pilot or whatever. He was flying a Cessna 172, had an issue, and ended up safely landing on a road or the side of the road or something like that. And the interesting part of the story is that an airline pilot that was on the frequency, I don't remember if it was a Delta or a Southwest pilot, he was actually helping the guy over the radio in with what to do and how to, in some way. So I think that we as pilots, we know all of the risks we take every time we turn that engine on and we take off, and all of the things that we need to take into consideration. And if there's people with me or with us, it's always, we are responsible for their safety, their well-being, and, all of the things that could go wrong in each and every flight. And we've all been there. We've all been to the same difficulties of learning how to fly and doing ground school and all of that. So I think that it's very rewarding to know that, this community that made it, like the people say that only 1% of the world's population are pilots or know how to fly. I think we need to look out for each other. First, because the safer the skies are, the safer we are. So if we are helping each other be safer out there, we are always also doing ourselves a favor. But most importantly, we're all people, and there's nothing more beautiful than just looking out for somebody else that has the same dream, the same passion as you.
Yeah, yes, like this. Like when the pandemic started, there's some company that they make like flags or whatever, and they made one that said like, together we will see this through. And I bought it and I shoved it in my window, and it stayed there for a long time until my wife was like, that's been in the window too long, like we should take it down. but like that is so huge to me. I mean, at all aspects of it, right? Like this is, we're all in this together. And right. Aviation, we're all so lucky to be a part of it. To your point, the 1% thing. Like we've got to protect it. And like I've preached a lot on this show about like gatekeeping and people like old salty pilots like not welcoming all of us in. And so it's just so awesome to see, right? Like that the community is as good as we all hoped it would be. At least in this one case, these two cases we've been talking about.
Yeah.
Anyway, I was sorry. I don't want to get like overly excited about it, but it's just that's part of what I think. Well, it's the Paul Poberezny quote, right? Like, "Come for the planes, stay for the people." We certainly had the epitome of that when we met at Oshkosh. But I also think what's interesting about like my first Oshkosh, as an example, I showed up, didn't know anybody, was kind of too scared to talk to it. And, it's like this overwhelming thing. It's like, and I wasn't like. Wasn't a pilot yet. I was just like soaking it up. And to go from that, I think my first Oshkosh was 2009. So like to go from that as like the beginning to like growing and meeting all these amazing people and getting to know people from all over the country and all over the world is just like, I don't know. It's a cool thing.
No, it is. It is. I agree with you.
So, okay, sorry, I ranted for a second there. Let's talk about. You talked about your love of sharing the experience, but I'm curious, like, where did the impetus to start the channel? I mean, one, you've got a YouTube channel, but also your Instagram account is like on fire. Like, the photography is incredible. When did that start? Like, what was the impetus for that?
I went back in 2018, and this was like a year before I even decided to pursue aviation. I was flying a lot for work, all around the country, and I created this Instagram page called Airplane Modes, and basically I just shared photos from the airports that I was always get a window seat and take pictures, wing views and stuff like that. And a year later, when I started my training, I was committed to posting on that page every day, but it was just like ordinary stuff, just photos from airports and stuff like that. And then when I started my training, I kind of repurposed it to just show everyone, all 400 followers I had that back then, what just going through aviation training was like for a guy like me. And that's when it started. I was sharing photos from my flying lessons, ground school, being around flight school, being around small general aviation airplanes, which I had never done before up until that point. And it just started growing and growing and growing. And by the time, fast forwarded today, I think that I just really made it a mission or a commitment to actually share this journey, my journey in aviation, because I really want to inspire more people to pursue that dream, just like I did. It took me 30 years to go after it. And I have people today that go to my DMs and ask, listen, I am 58. Is it too late to start flight training? Or people that are 13, 14 years old from the other side of the world asking me, how do I start? I dream about being a pilot, And I think it's just so rewarding to know that the content that I commit myself to posting every day, and mind you, this is all photos that I take during my flights and during my experiences and all, is actually showing people out there that aviation is so rewarding, and so it's just so rewarding to go after it, because it's surprising how many people think it's too hard, it's too it's out of reach, and not only me, like everybody in the chat right now and watching, and many other people out there are doing the same thing and inspire people to go after it. And so that basically became my mission. And every time I post, it's like my sole goal is to show how incredible life can be when you bring aviation into it. And if you're committed and passionate about it, it's all going to be great.
I mean, I think even you're flying a lot right now, and have done some really big trips. I personally am coming, and I'm just gonna let this roll, this beautiful footage roll. People are, by the way, I gotta tell you, there's a funny conversation happening in the chat that's distracting the heck out of me right now. People are saying that you said that it took you 30 years. People are saying that it looks like you found the fountain of youth, and that they're talking about how old you maybe really are. Wolf Pilot thinks 25 or 18. Wow. Todd Johnson says it's the Grumman. It takes 10 years off.
Well, for everybody that's wondering, I'm actually 37, and and I started my aviation life at 35. By the way, you're about to see my cat here. She's here. I'll show her.
Oh, there
she is.
Cat.
Yeah, and she's about to jump on the window. So I'm 37. But to whoever thinks I am younger than that, thank you. I really appreciate it.
So now I totally forgot what I was going to say. But I was gonna say something about blah blah blah. What's cool about the community, in addition, is it keeps you connected. Like even if you're not flying, right? Like it's a community that will like continue to like keep you engaged. Okay.
Yes.
Other questions. There are people in the chat. They have questions about the shirt. People are seeing this Airbro
this shirt.
They say they want one. I don't know if you're selling those, but it's a cool shirt.
I am. I'm actually. I just started selling these. And by the way, I have no desire of actually going into like the t-shirt selling business or anything like that. But I made this t-shirt. So the story about this t-shirt, and let me just stand here so you can see. On our way to Oshkosh, Neil and I stopped at Ann Arbor, Michigan, and I happened to meet up with a guy. His name is Adam. He's a Delta 717 first officer who lives in Ann Arbor, is based in Detroit, and he happens to be an amazing aviation photographer. And I have been following this guy for a while on Instagram. He followed me as well. And because Ann Arbor seemed to be a place, just a logical stop on the way from New York to Oshkosh, I just stopped there and I linked up with him and said, listen, I'll be at the airport this day. I would love to meet you. So he shows up, and before Neil and I departed Ann Arbor on our way to Oshkosh with his camera, and as we texted out, he kind of got on the radio and said, do this, do that, put the plane in this position and whatever. And he was like walking all around the airport with his camera and taking pictures. And one of the photos is actually this, like one shot from the front of the plane with the engine, like, at high speed, the propeller turning on high speed. And I posted the picture on the same day, perhaps, saying, hey, this was later in the day, we got to Oshkosh and all of that. And this other guy, his name is Michael Garber. And if you're on Instagram and you love aviation, you've probably seen his amazing designs. He basically turns any amazing aviation picture into a beautiful drawing with his own style and all of that. So he takes the picture, he sends me a DM and says, hey, can I turn this into a drawing, like into this illustration? I'll do it for free and it's yours. And I'm like, of course. So he sends me this like 3 or 4 days later. And I had this idea of actually making, because it was just me and Neil, who happens to be my airbro, and one of my best friends, of course. I thought, you know what, I'm gonna make this a design like airbros. We called airbros forever, and the tail number, which is right here. So I make this T-shirt. I give him, and this actually happened last weekend. And I thought, you know what? If this is I wanted to make this a T-shirt that's sort of like a homage to all the airbros out there. We all have friends that we've flown or we fly with along often, and whether it's the guy who trained you, whether it's somebody from your family that got you into aviation in the first place, or just a friend who you happen to have met in the aviation community, we all have that person who's always been there on that right seat, on the back seat, riding along with us. And I said, maybe this is a T-shirt that kind of speaks to that. So I attempted at putting this T-shirt on an online shop, and I'll share the link later. It's there. And you can basically just order your size, pick your color. It could be white, it could be black, it could be gray, whatever. And we'll come with this design. And this is the first among some other T-shirts that I'm with cool designs that I have in mind. One of them may or may not have something to do with me locked on the plane, but that's another story.
You just probably, I'm gonna get like 100 DMs from the Squadron about needing to get SuperAero shirts because of that story. But okay, this is I've got a creepier question, but it came from the chat, right. So it's not my fault.
Hit me. I'm not hearing you. Are you still there?
I muted myself. There we go. Sorry.
Okay.
It's a professional television show. Okay, so they're seeing the propeller over your right shoulder, I think. I think that's over your right shoulder.
This here. This
Yeah,
here,
yeah.
the yellow one?
Yeah.
Okay.
And they're wondering if there's a story behind that, because sometimes when people have props, there's a good story.
So this is a prop. There's no great story other than this being an actual replica of a Piper Cub prop with the if you follow bananas, which everyone here probably does, this is a Cub propeller. It's just a decoration item that I got a year ago when I moved to this apartment and I wanted to decorate aviation style. And it just sits here with me, but it's actually a propeller. If you actually attach this to a Cub and try to in the right way and try to fly it, it will fly.
I think everyone was hoping that you would like hit something with the prop and it was like sitting there. That's I see a lot of them that are like shattered up on a wall or something.
So I don't have that story yet, but who knows? Maybe it will be I'll be known as the guy who, I don't know, hit his propeller on something.
There's
and that will be my new.
YouTubers who've done that already. You have to have just a lock on the wall.
Where?
No, I'm saying that's what you should do. You should have a lock, like, because you were locked in. You should have a little lock.
Right.
Sorry, it's a bad joke.
Probably yes.
Okay, sorry. Now everyone's comparing ages in the chat now. Neil is mentioning that he was born next to an NDB, and Loran was his high tech. So yeah, remember those? I never knew Loran was an airplane thing. I always thought it was just a boat thing.
Yeah. Well, actually, you can still find some planes that actually have the Loran as an instrument. It probably doesn't work, but it's still there sitting at the panel because the owner never bothered to change to replace it. Yeah, exactly.
So let me ask you that. I mean, what's next? Like you've got a beautiful plane. You've got you're adventuring all over the place with it. Only one kind of funny misadventure. Like what's next for Bruno?
So basically right now what I'm focusing on is really getting proficient with my plane and staying current, of course, and most importantly just having fun. We were just talking about traveling here and making like long flights with the plane, and there are so many adventures and trips that I planned that got canceled because of COVID. Even though general aviation got affected in a different way, you still couldn't really go places without having to go through the hassles of dealing with COVID. So a lot of things, a lot of plans that I had got postponed. For instance, I have a cousin that lives in Canada, Montreal, which happens to be a short flight from New York, especially on a plane like mine. I could be there nonstop in 3 hours, but I couldn't go because the borders were closed. Sure. I also told Annie, for instance, who may still be watching, that if I actually made it to Canada one day, I would love to go visit her and her husband Marcus. I could never do that because, again, the borders were closed, and everybody that I met in aviation, I actually made a mission for myself to actually fly to meet them whenever they are. Bryon in Texas, and a lot you and so many other people like in Michigan, and even all the way to California and Florida. And these are the things that I want to do. I always try to combine fun trips somewhere with the plane, with meeting people, having stories that I can share, that I can turn into content that can inspire people to go after their aviation dream as well. So I think the two big things for me this year were Sun and Fun and Oshkosh, which not only were the first time for me attending both of these big ventures, but also the two big aviation adventures that I was doing as a pilot, as PIC. And Obviously, I'll be back to both next year. That's the idea. But most importantly, now I just want to, start exploring the country and exploring life with aviation more, and going places and going through different situations, different weather, different kinds of airports, runways, and all of that. And just turning into content that I can post on YouTube and Instagram, and just hopefully keep showing people the kinds of doors aviation opens when you go after that dream.
Everyone you mentioned in that list there that's watching right now has said that the invitation still stands. Annie is still here. She says, still here and waiting for you.
Nice. I'll go. I promise I'll go.
Bryon says you can come down to Texas anytime. He and I have been texting about maybe we should all do it at the same time. We'll just find a place that's weirdly in the middle of our 3 locations.
Yeah.
We'll just bloop together.
There you go.
And other people in the chat just randomly also offering up spare rooms if you want to come by. Freedom Fixer says he's got a spare room. Plane Lady says come on by Houston.
Okay. And I'll tell you this. I'll take any excuse to fly somewhere. And it could be the lamest excuse ever, but if there's great people like everybody that offered and beer involved, I'll just go anywhere.
Beer. Speaking of beer involved, in a little bit when this show ends, are you cool to come have a beer on the Zoom chat tonight?
Of course. Right. Beer is the magic word.
We'll have we're gonna have beers on the Patreon. The Squadron has a little Patreon Zoom thing that we do. And by the way, I'll warn you, Bruno, that thing goes to 2 a.m. sometimes. So you don't have to stay. Don't feel obligated. But we'll drink some beers. We'll talk smart.
Awesome.
Sorry, I'm getting situated in my chair. Butt shimmy. I have one last question for you before we play a game, and that's one that I'm wondering. Well, there's a lot of other questions people have asked. Actually, I've got 2 questions for you. One is if you had, you said you're a baby in aviation, but you're more experienced than a lot of folks, I think, especially with all that cross country time. If there was a piece of advice that you would give to, Bruno, intro flight Bruno, what would that piece of advice be?
It would probably be don't let the hard parts of that aviation journey stop you, or just take the motivation and the passion out of you, because this actually comes from a lot of messages that I get from people asking me, how do I overcome this? How do I overcome that? I can't get past crosswind landings. I can't understand how to calculate the VOR radio. I can nail landings or whatever. And I've seen a lot of people just give up aviation completely because after 3 lessons there, the CFI giving them a hard time. They're just saying, you know what? I'm spending all this money, all this time, all this effort. This is not for me. I'll go somewhere else. And I was affected by these things. And I remember a particular day where I literally drove home thinking that aviation wasn't for me. My instructor was giving me a really, really hard time. And I was destroyed after one particular flight lesson. I came home just thinking, this is not for me. Maybe this is not for me. This is not something that I was made for. Everybody goes through that, and sometimes there isn't somebody else there to say, no, you got to keep going. You got to keep pushing. This, your passion or your love for this is bigger than any obstacle or barrier that you may face along the way. So, the thing that I would tell myself in my very first lesson is that passion or that feeling that takes over the moment you grab the yoke and that person sitting next to you says, take the controls, like, move the plane or whatever. We've all went through that. That thing lives on every single pilot, whether you have 2 hours, 200, 2,000, 20,000 hours. Every single pilot still feels the same thing when they fly. And if I could understand that, or anybody that goes through difficulties or just hard moments or hard times in their training, on their journey to become a pilot, if they knew that that will always be bigger than anything else, I'm pretty sure it will make their lives easier. So that's what I'll tell myself. That's what I will tell anybody, and that's what I tell everybody that comes to me and ask, like, how do I get through this? Can you give me advice? Can you give me, people that feel sick, air sick, flying. It's something that never happened to me, but I understand it's a thing, but you will overcome just like anything else. You just gotta let your heart, in a way, speak louder than your brain, your stomach, your labyrinth, or anything else that's getting in the way. And if you let it do it, nothing will stop you.
That is such important. That's so important. That advice is so important. I think, and also I bet every pilot in the chat right now can identify with those moments. Certainly in training, right? You get those learning plateaus. Air sickness was a thing for me.
Right?
Like, I was doing everything like ginger gum and it's just like pills and whatever. It was like, well, the ones I could take, but like the ease up on me FAA medical people, I checked the list. But just being, all of that stuff hits you so hard. And I think the thing I always say in those moments is, like, if it was easy, anybody can do it. But the truth is, anyone actually can do it. It's not about, I think we are taught you've got Top Gun up above your head there, right? Like, I think it's like, we all got to be Maverick, and we all got to be like, well, I'm more of the Anthony Edwards look. Like, I would definitely be wearing the tank top or the T-shirt at the volleyball match. But more than that, what we're doing, I think, is mostly special in terms of perseverance.
Right.
Like,
yes.
I can't math, whatever, right? Like, you just push through. I don't know. Shouldn't be making jokes about that. You gave a very impassioned, people are making fun of me in the chat for being, for getting airsick. But like, literally, like, that long story short, I agree. That's some of the best advice you could give anybody. Okay. Time to play a game. Are you down to play a game before we wrap up?
Let's go.
All right. Very cool. It's called Short Final. For folks, if you've not seen before, Short Final is a game. Guys, take it easy. We all know I puked in a plane, and it's on YouTube. We all know that. All right. So Short Final. Short Final with Fly with Bruno. Tonight, what we're going to do is we're going to ask you a bunch of short questions about your flying. With a minute on the clock, we'll just crank through as many as we can. There are no right answers. There are no wrong answers. There are right answers. It's whatever you say. There are no wrong answers. Wow. Going off the rails a little bit. You've got all the points. You've already won. Let me hit some buttons over here. Bam. Get a little dramatic music. Get the counter going. Cat for distraction. I paid that cat to do that. Bruno, all right. First things first, what's the favorite airport you've ever landed at?
I want to say Goodspeed, Connecticut.
Okay. What's the identifier for that? Do you know off the top of your head?
42 Bravo.
All right. Well, I'll look it up later. You've got a warbird over your shoulder. Wondering what your favorite warbird is, or favorite military plane.
The F4 Corsair.
Oh, there you go. Rock on. I don't know if anyone's ever answered that before. What about your favorite passenger that you've ever had?
7478. This one right here.
And what about passenger with you? Favorite passenger you've ever taken in a flight?
I gotta say, passenger, my wife.
I was wondering if you were going to say Neil, but
Well, Neil isn't a passenger. He's the second in command, whether he wants it or not.
oh, good. That's a good save in both directions because you got to say your wife. Got to say your wife. Dude, Bruno, this has been awesome to chat tonight. I really appreciate you taking the time to hop on.
Likewise, and Bryon, I'm such a big fan of the show, of you, and let me just say that it's really, really flattering for me to be here because not only you, but people that are in the chat now, asking questions and then replying and all of that. So many of you are the people who inspired me in the very beginning, whether it was in social media or in Aviation Live, and you still do. So I'm really flattered that I'm here now and they are watching me, and we are all talking as a group here. So I just wanted to say thank you, because everybody that's here right now helped inspire me, get through the difficulties. Some of them I just talked about, and to this day, you are doing a beautiful, beautiful thing in aviation. And whether it's a comedy like Bryon or just showing the beautiful side of aviation, like photography, video, filming, and telling stories and writing and all of that, or building planes, at home. I just think that like what you're all doing, you're all inspiring people and getting into aviation, and we need more of that. We need more because it's a thing that just a few people in the world actually have the I wouldn't say the ability, but just the desire and the courage to go after it, because it takes a lot. It takes a lot from you. So please keep doing that, because you inspired me. You keep inspiring me, and I just feel really, really honored to just be a part of this and be able to kind of follow the legacy a little bit and just help doing this as well.
Well, I think thank you to me, and I agree with you about everyone in the chat. Like, I just noticed Chelsea Smith's in the chat now. Like, she's talking about someone who's inspiring as well. Like, we've got all these other like big YouTubers here. Like, I think those people all inspire me on a day-to-day basis. And when it gets dark, right, when it's like, oh, like there's a pandemic, how am I gonna fly ever again or whatever? Like, you've got folks like that, like you, right? I think, don't forget you in that. You're inspiring people every day. I think that goes back to that sense of community, and I think it's interesting for us in like our generation, what that community looks like is different, but it's still like the core of it is the same, right? Like, we're supporting each other by making content, we're supporting each other by doing silly YouTube shows or whatever, right? So, yeah, man, I love that. Yeah. What a positive, what a wonderful way to end the show on Bruno's positivity, everybody.
Thank you. Thanks, Bryon. It was an absolute pleasure. Absolute pleasure.
Dude, I can't wait to meet up with you again. If nothing else, I hope we can meet up at Osh 22. Yeah?
We will. I'm slated to go, and Neil will be there with me. And I can't wait. Can't wait.
That's good, because Neil and we solved like 98% of the world's problems, but we have like 2% more of the problems.
So that's the mission. So yeah, in a
he's
year from
now,
come. Or in 11 months, me and him will probably be crammed into that Grumman cockpit, hoping that we can get out by the time we land, and just go enjoy everything again.
All right. I almost forgot. People are mad in the chat. In short final, I forgot to ask you, north up or track up?
Track up.
Ooh, okay.
Who cares about north,
folks? Yeah, doesn't matter. North? What?
I mean, yeah.
I do a little bit of both. I go both ways with that. All right, I'm gonna wrap this thing up. Everybody, thank you so much for watching tonight. Big thanks to Bruno for coming on the show tonight. And be sure to check out next week. Going to be another great show. We've got so many things in the next month lined up, and I'm just excited. I'm excited to keep sharing my side of it. One of you actually finally figured it out in the chat just now. I am actually locked inside this basement. I can't get out. But no one's answering the call on the radio for me. So I'm just stuck
I know.
here. But anyway, all right.
I know
Bruno,
the feeling.
yeah, you know the feeling. Bruno, thank you so much, man. Everyone else, share, subscribe, like, blah, 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 blah. You know, do all that stuff. We will see you next week.